Hello, I'm Christina Bolle. I'm in Dr. Aaron Morris's class. It's the 30th of May 2016, and I'm doing a project in the Lib 495 class, a media presentation on my final paper on selective breeding on dogs and cats. I'm trying to figure out, does the benefits to human because of selective breeding bring along those ethical issues? Now with selective breeding, I'm talking about those dogs and cats that are made specifically with certain traits and characteristics that people want. Like today, if you were to go out and try and pick out your family pet, a dog or a cat, it may take a very long time to choose the type of animal you want and what type of animal you believe will fit into your family and your lifestyle. It's a big decision. The options of what kind of dog or cat you wish to have is endless. I've done this myself. I really want a specific type of animal to fit into my family. So this is kind of what this is about, and we have some questions to ask about the selective breeding process. So for me, selective breeding brought up a lot of questions in my mind because I have purebred pets. I have dogs only, but I've had dogs and cats the same, and I've specifically picked out certain types of dogs that fit into my family. I didn't go after the mutts or the shelters, which I may should have, because I would have been saving those animals, but I have a lot of allergies, and my husband does too, so I selected, or my family selected, to pick out 3 animals over the last couple years, which you see here, Misty Lou and Belly Button, who are Weinerheimers, and short-haired because we have allergies, and they're big dogs, very protective, and they protect the home. And then we have Gracie Belle, which is on the far right, who is an Italian Greyhound and hyperallergenic, which my husband is very allergic to animals. So these 3 animals fit best into our family, so we did get purebred dogs from selective breeding. Now, to continue on, like I said earlier, there's the perfect pet out there for a lot of people. There are thousands of different types of domesticated animals to choose from with different colors, traits, personalities, and size. Many of these animals have been created by selective breeding to create the perfect pet, or they say it's the perfect pet with characteristics most desired by humans. But what humans need to realize, myself including, and comprehend is selective breeding of animals also puts these animals at danger for various health issues that endanger their body and may affect their behaviors in both positive and negative ways. Selective breeding may sound great to the consumer, but there's more to this than just being a perfect pet for your family when selective breeding is done. So this research that I'm doing will focus on the domestication of animals, specifically domesticated dogs and cats through selective breeding or genetic modification for desired size, temperament, quality, and other commercially viable traits that people want. With so much advancement in technology and science today, and the development of selective breeding of animals for the benefit of humans, brings a lot of ethical issues in relation to the animals themselves and the end outcome. Now this all started with domestication of animals, like your cats and your dogs. The practice of domesticating animals played a crucial role in human civilization that started thousands of years ago. That was according to Wright, 2015. Initially, animals were tamed and trained in order to help humans take care of their crops, their fields, clean waste, or rid of other pests. Basically, help humans out on their daily tasks. At the time, humans did not have genetic knowledge at their disposal, hence depended on observable characteristics to assert an animal breeding combination that resulted in some hybrid vigor. Now, domesticated animals began way in the early years, but with a natural process. For example, the wolves began living in proximity with human beings, and with time, the two established a symbiotic association. The wolves that formed their partnership assisted man in hunting for a return of constant feeding. That makes sense. The wolves saw this as a beneficial relationship because they could scavenge on the leftovers, which was better than living in the wild. Because of living in proximity to humans, the wolves distinctively evolved their genes different from other wild wolves. The process took many years to manifest to the distinct phenotypic characteristics, but it did. A two-way selection of the genes occurred, whereby the genes in the dog's brain underwent selection as well as those in the human brain. And that's from Adams, 2008. As the centuries advanced since the first domestication practices, the art has developed substantially selective breeding and genetic improvements of many animals. Charles Darwin started the notion that humans can modify animals, selective breeding, to fit human desires in this world. With selective breeding, humans now had the choice to alter organisms, which they have created in environments where many animals that have been genetically altered can now only survive in domestication. Examples: domesticated dogs and cats, or the family pet. As time went by, animals were domesticated to be human companions, friends, and used for human needs. Like some examples are dogs used by police officers in detection and security, cats used for companions or control pests. Humans started to research how they could make these dogs and cats more useful and desired by humans by creating desired traits. Now, selective breeding happens when certain traits change in an animal as a result of artificial means, rather than natural means. When this occurs in dogs and cats, this occurs due to human action by altering characteristics in these animals, changing their natural state of the species. Since the first domestication practices, selective breeding in dogs and cats has streamlined into a perfect outcome of the desired animal. Humans choose now what traits they desire, and dogs and cats have been bred to contain these desires. Currently, some scientists focus on breeding, and the profession entails identification of superior genetic traits, which they use to pair up individual animals for the purpose of coming up with superior breeds. And that's from Zetter, 2006. Desirable genetic characteristics can now be developed to produce the outcome wanted. Basically, the outcome wanted by humans. For instance, the breeding of dogs, which originated from the gray wolf, that's from Eldrin 2005, was created for human benefit. Over the years, man has bred different breeds of dogs to come up with the dogs that have desirable behavioral and phenotype characteristics. Subsequent breeding generations revealed an improvement in the desired outcome, which related to economic or human benefits. That's from Dairy, 2012. Now for cats, they too are domesticated for human benefit. According to Price, 2002, cats are domesticated to help control rodents from getting to human food supplies. Many animals, such as dogs and cats, have been subjected to selective breeding to meet the needs of human benefit, as I continued on saying throughout this proposal. Specialized breeding has led to the development of genetically superior animals, or animals with specific desirable traits humans want. Got a little tongue-tied there. Today, with the advances of science, the process is refined to create animals with selective traits and features to be pets or used as show animals. Selective breeding and genetic modification are examples of popular and successful process involving basically the manipulation of a standard to desired end outcome. Now this is where basically the questions come from about this project. With so much advancement in technology and science today, and the development of genetic engineering of animals brings ethical issues which relate to the animals being affected in this process, but moreover, specifically the animals' welfare. How do these animals cope with the circumstances in which they have been forced into and cope with the gene mutation to their bodies? Long-term selective breeding practices have made domesticated animals overly different from their normal counterparts. Long-term selective breeding practices have made the domesticated animals overly different from the normal counterparts. Some of the changes witnessed in these domesticated animals are behavioral and morphological characteristic. The question needs to be asked because it has been found that inbreeding of dogs and cats poses genetic problems and could be looked at as unethical. That's from Cowboy, Sampson, Fretwell, and Balding, 2008. As you can see here, you can get different outcomes of selective breeding as you look at these pictures here. Sometimes you don't get what you think is coming out of the process. To understand the question, we need to understand the process. Inbreeding is a practice of mating two individuals that have similar genetic characteristics, which subsequently leads to the development of a genetically similar offspring. Typically, inbreeding leads to the development of homozygous recessive genotypes that express undesirable phenotypic characteristics. It is important to note that the existing domestic animals are because of artificial breeding. Centuries of breeding dogs and cats has led to extensive alteration of their DNA. The practice shows the power of artificial selection that subsequently changes the genetic makeup of animals. Genes dictate the phenotypic traits of dogs and cats in aspects, such as height and coat and color. For example, the IGF-1 gene is responsible for dictating the size of a dog, which explains the variation between the Chinchilla and the Great Dane. The time frame of artificial selection of dogs is 14,000 years, and some breeds are only 500 years old, hence indicating the short time frame for their evolution. It's from Gibson, 2010. For cats, an example of essesntial breeding is to come up with breeds of cats that cause less allergenic reactions in individuals allergic to cats, the cat's fur. A hyperallergenic cat is a term used to refer to selectively bred cats that cause minimal allergic reactions. Cats are genetically bred to have short or no hair since the cat's fur is responsible for the allergies. Test experiments were conducted in controlled experiments to ascertain the effect of the genetically engineered cats on individuals with tendencies of developing allergic reactions. The selective breeding of cats is continuing with the aim of developing cat breeds that produce little or no allergic reaction to humans. It's noteworthy that furless cats possess minimal allergens known to cause symptoms associated with allergies. Any selective breeding process involves the preservation of desired genetic traits while at the same time phasing out undesirable characteristics. That's from Borasco and Ridemore, 2012. But there is debate on what impact and the animal's coping ability to live with the genes that are removed and the effects physically and behaviorally. And what happens to those animals used in testing these theories? These questions are important on how these domesticated animals cope with the circumstances in which they have been forced into by the alteration and mutation of their bodies, because animals have rights, emotions, and feelings too. They don't get a choice in this matter. Some people have overlooked the fact that non-human animals experience similar psychological reactions similar to humans. Animals feel pain, sensation, and distress similar to humans, according to Zerlo, 2012. Controlling and changing animals for human benefit may be looked at as treating these animals as mere human property, owned and created. Furthermore, there are patents out there on animal breeds, believe it or not, stating a deeper indication that selective breeding is about the human benefit rather than the animal ethical issue. In addition, could animal selective breeding be compared to what Hitler tried to accomplish in creating a perfect race through this same type of selective breeding? Hitler attempted a type of selective breeding with humans, as you remember, trying to breed a certain type of human, a stronger and healthier race in Hitler's eyes. He had destroyed humans that did not fit into the Hitler-Nazi mold of an acceptable and superior race. This practice by Hitler was rejected and unsuccessful, being unethical and inhumane. If this was wrong for Hitler to attempt selective breeding on humans, what makes doing selective breeding on dogs and cats different, acceptable, or all right? And if doing this to animals, plants, and other organisms is acceptable today, in the future, will this open the door to acceptable human selective breeding? So here we have the research plan or research methodology. This research utilizes secondary sources to obtain extensive information on the current issues that pertain to selective breeding or genetic breeding, as you can see. So the hypotheses, I have a couple here. Hypothesis 1, selective breeding endangers their safety, causes risk of health issues to include diseases and other health-related issues. And hypothesis 2 is some breeders, in an effort to produce a perfect breed, will kill normally healthy puppies and dogs and do not fit the perfect characteristics they want. The health of the animal is essentially a non-player. As far as literature, the literature review conducted here entails a compilation of researchers that have carried out scientific research on animals. This part of this section of the project provides extensive research on selective breeding and pros and cons of the process of selective breeding. With the pros and cons provided by various sources and research, this project will identify if the benefit outweighs the cost, basically the cost to the animal, or if there is an ethical question at hand to research further. To foster the mutual understanding and voices from both sides, the pros and cons provided in this project from both sides of the scope, for and against. With this process being complex due to humans making animals have the traits they want, this process by some seems simple to understand and conduct, but it has its own advantages and disadvantages. To first understand the research at hand, we must understand what selective breeding and gene modification is. To selective breed a dog and a cat, humans use and choose specific characteristics from animal males and females to selectively produce the animal they want. Basically, humans may choose a single phenotypic trait which produces the higher value in the animal, or they may use a controlled natural selection and allows this to happen alone. Most selective breeding and any gene modification process are used when trying to create the perfect dog or cat desired for human benefit. With this, the original breed is altered and a new breed is created by what humans wish to happen. I have some examples. Example of dogs. The Weihenheimer breed, like I have a Weihenheimer, that's in picture 1, is an example of a dog breed that was created by humans. It was created by selective breeding from various dog breeds, the Pointer, Bloodhound, Shyhound, etc., to make the perfect dog over time that had good smell abilities, speed, vision, courage, stamina, smarts, and determination to a great hunter. The Weihenheimer did not exist until humans created them and was selectively bred in the interest to please humans alone. Now in picture 2 we have the Labradoodle as another example of selective breeding in dogs. The Labradoodle is a poodle and a Labrador retriever. Humans created this breed originally with a desire to acquire a domesticated dog, with service dog qualities, low shading, and hyperallergenic qualities. Again, this breed was created by human action and desire alone. Now, for example, on cats, the hyperallergic cat that we mentioned earlier. This has been done starting with short-haired cats that humans are allergic to. These cats are continuously bred to be the least allergic to humans, eliminating the characteristics that are not wanted more each cycle. They continue until there's little allergic reaction to humans. The traits that cause allergic reaction is reduced or eventually eliminated over time and breeding, making a hyperallergenic cat. This is in picture 3. Another example of a selective breeding in cats is the mackerel tabby cat in picture 4. Humans desired a cat with wild-like stripes and unique appearances. The mackerel tabby was created and nicknamed the Toiger to resemble a toy tiger. This type of selective breed was done due to human desire for certain traits. It's a common theme there. Animals may be selectively bred, or a genetic mutation may be made to the animal to create the perfect pet that people desire. The difference between selective breeding and genetic mutation is genetic mutation is done in the lab only to alter genes, and selective breeding is done through the breeding process. Both processes result in changing their animal's organism genotype. Both genetic engineering and selective breeding result in modification of an organism's genotype. To understand visually how selective breeding works, refer to this diagram. You just kind of look it over. And in the next slide, we'll show the animal gene mutations. Again, this diagram refers to the animal gene mutations that we talked about in the last slide. This is the end of the presentation for now, and if I were to continue forward, I'll go on to discuss advantages to consider in research and ethical considerations. My paper was quite long, and I couldn't fit in the 10 minutes, but I hit on the highlights. Thank you.